Good morning, Unity of Tustin. All of you who are right here in our sanctuary, outside our doors, joining us online, we welcome you to our Sunday service. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Some of the first things that I would like to mention before we get started here is that Orange County is now in the highest tier for the COVID Delta variant. And so we are following their guidelines, and we are masking inside the, actually I can take mine off because I'm trying to talk to you. We are following the guidelines for masking when we're inside. You can take your mask off when you're outside, that'll be fine, but while you're in here, thank you all for adhering to that. I see that you are. The other thing is to please silence your cell phone so that we won't have any unintended interruptions with that. So with that, let me welcome Shara Moscinska, our wonderful spiritual ministry team member who will be offering depth and guidance and beauty today. Thank you. And of course, and welcoming back wonderful Ray Davis, the deeply talented and very fashionable Ray Davis. Thank you for being back with us. Let me run through some of our announcements. We have several today. Immediately following today's service, we are having the barbecue, the annual summer barbecue. It's all set up outside. There's games, there's food. Our MUTs, our Men of Unity of Tustin, are sponsoring this. They are handling all the finances, so our offerings will be purely profit for the church. So do join us. Even if you didn't already RSVP, that's okay. We've got plenty. We're having third pound burgers. Some of them will be double burgers. You just never know. There's Maui chips, so do join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be delicious. So that's right after service today. And also thanks to all the other volunteers who helped make it happen and supported the MUTs. Yes. Voting is now closed for the board election. Hopefully you had a chance to get your vote in. It's been a real nail biter. We just didn't know how that was going to turn out. Also coming up is our annual general membership meeting. That's going to be September 12th. It will be in person or virtual, either one. It'll be a hybrid service, so everyone can attend either way they wish to. And it's kind of a big deal. It's our State of the Union address that we do every year. Todd Bopel will give us our financial rundown, tell us how we stand in very understandable ways. You know, he has a great talent for doing that. We'll review our campus projects, ones that have happened, ones that are coming up. We'll go over the intentions of our ministry and so forth. So put that on your calendar, September the 12th. Let's see what else. Craig will be holding on August 22nd a meditation intensive from 1 to 3. We'll be having more details to come on that, but put that on your calendar as well. That should be wonderful. Let's see. Oh, our backpack drive. We had a goal of 30 backpacks. We have more than exceeded that. So thank each and every one of you who took one of those or gave money so that we can fill one. That's wonderful. So that was a wonderful drive. Thank you. Let's see. A quick grounds update. Yesterday we had a garden cleanup. 18 people came, yes, worked very hard. I see many of you out there. Thank you so much. You did some beautiful work. And everybody's welcome. Everyone's welcome to this. It's actually fun, and it's a ministry. It's not just, oh, I have to go pull weeds. You know, it's a ministry, and it's very, so thank you all. Let's see, the next thing we're doing is we're slurry coating the parking lot. So that is going to look wonderful out there. We're going to restripe, we're going to repaint all of the curbs and so forth, and it's just going to rejuvenate out there and look really great. So Another thing I'd like to call out is we had a semi-emergency last night. A sudden flood popped up out in the gardens, and by grace, Marco was here and took care of it and turned off the main so that we didn't have a massive lake outside today. And then Steve Stokel showed up at dawn this morning to do the repair. So we are blessed to have these people in our community. So thank you very much. Let's see what else. I think I've covered everything. Let me look through the little deal there. Okay, and so the next thing that I would like to say is that this is Birthday Sunday. It's August 1st, and so we celebrate all of you who have a birthday in August. And if you are willing, if you would please stand. August birthday people, do we have any? Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So, first of all, we would like to offer a blessing to you August people. It will go like this. Let me say it first, and then if you'll repeat after me. It says, we bless you in your new year and many, many more. So, all together, we bless you in your new year and many, many more. Perfect. And now Annette is going to sing Happy Birthday and Shirley the Presents. Thank you.
Good morning, Unity. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, August birthdays. Happy birthday to you. And many, many more. And now we have come to the time where we're going to start our service. So sit back in your chairs, relax, take that big deep breath that you all know how to take. Open your hearts. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Good morning. My name is John Claude Pinter, and I'm one of your prayer chaplains here at Unity of Tustin. And as a chaplain, prayer chaplain, we get the honor of opening the service by lighting the Christ candle and reading the daily word. So we'll do that first. We'll light the Christ candle, and we do light the Christ candle to remind that the flame of the Christ consciousness resides in every one of us. Thank you. We got a beautiful daily word today. Radiance. The Christ presence within is my radiant source of good. And the scripture is John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. On a clear day, when a stray cloud passes across the sun, I noticed the suddenly diminished light. Then looking up, I see brilliant rays of sunshine surrounding the cloud. Instead of hiding the sun, the cloud helps me see and appreciate the sun's radiance. As the sun lights the earth and is the source of its energy, the Christ, the divine presence within me, is my light and the source of everything I need in order to live brilliantly and joyfully. When, like a passing cloud, an obstacle or challenge along my path may seem to dim my Christ light, I respond by looking up, by raising my point of view. I am reassured and strengthened, knowing that the divine radiance is shining as brightly as ever. No cloud can dim the divine light in me. So I'm going to say the contemplative phrase at the beginning and say it twice. Once I will say it, and then the second time, please repeat it with me. The Christ's presence within is my radiant source of good. The Christ's presence within me is my radiant source of good. In oneness.
Happy Sunday, Unity of Tustin. Happy Sunday online, and how fabulous to be in this sanctuary. You know, for me, I've never been in this sanctuary with it being so filled with life. And what I'd like to do as we start our opening prayer is, I've often thought of what makes something holy. Like to me, Site 5, the Guadalupe, she's so holy. And it's because again and again, we come with our individual open heart and our individual blessing, and it infuses it with a holiness that then emanates. And when I'm in here, that's what I feel. I feel the years and years of this space, this sanctuary being infused and therefore holy. And I invite us all to take in a deep breath and feel the sanctuary blessing you. It's nice. It's like a welcome home. And even when we're out there, we're still being blessed by this space that has been infused with all of the love and prayer of this community. So we deepen into that. And we affirm that everything is holy when we just have the eyes to see it. And we affirm that we are a source of resonating and reinforcing that holiness so that we can create a hum wherever we go that uplifts ourselves and our surroundings to our highest and best self. And that is our intention here in spiritual community and what we get to celebrate today. And we also extend a special prayer to our mutts, our men of unity, who have so lovingly created a playground of delight outside that we get to enjoy after this service. And we ask that divine spirit infuses them with the special intuition to know just when to flip the burger. And we bring this all into the loving glory of each now moment. And we say thank you for this opportunity and privilege to be together in this beautiful spiritual community. And we say this prayer in the name and after the nature of the indwelling Christ presence. And so it is.
better keep silent. Don't let them hear you speak. Softly, you'd better tread softly, for everyone knows that God only shows favor when you bow and scrape and lay prostrate and wail upon a wall. But something small and still inside said no, no, not at all. Hush now, listen, you'll hear it over and over again. Hear God say, I love you, over and over again. Head down, you'd better keep your head down. Don't let them catch you standing tall. 'Cause everybody knows you got to fit in. 'Cause everybody says you got to fit in to get into all the right places with all the right people. So you bow and scrape and lay prostrate and sacrifice your peace. But something small and still inside said, forgive, love, release. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And love them, for they are one with you. Release your burden, release your fear. For I am is my name, and I am always near. Oh, I am always here. I'm always here. Oh, hush now, listen, you'll hear it over and over again. Hear God say, I love you. Hush now, listen, you'll hear it over and over again. Hear God say, I love you. Hear it over and over. Hear it over and over and over again.
a miracle of Ray Davis. I mean, that's next level, right? Which is good, because this is not going to be. We got room for everyone. Everyone belongs. So I'll give kind of a preamble to what this is for our meditation today. And the good news and the bad news here is I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm going to start a 4-series class Thursday, August 19th on spiral dynamics. And in the Unity movement, there's really a push to teach development, because it's really helpful. If we don't have an understanding of the evolution of consciousness and spiritual development, we tend to then judge things as good or bad, not good enough, better than, and we get in that space. So I'm really pondering this, because I do want to offer this, but I don't want to reinforce this hierarchy of worth that is actually part of the frame that we're trying to move out of. And I was thinking, what gets beyond that? And I thought, music. You know, if you look at a keyboard on a piano, a B is going to be higher than middle C, but we wouldn't say that's a better note. And it's like, that's it. So when I'm in the minister's office, we have these singing bowls there. And I'm like, well, maybe it's like the singing bowls. So I took them out and started playing with them. And I took them as like a metaphysical representation of truly who we are. And I've discovered some things through the singing bowls that we've had. And I'll kind of tell you a little about it, and then we'll go into some meditation without the words. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be a chromatic scale. All of the bowls are labeled. And when we start to play them, we recognize something very interesting. So we start with pretty much in tune. Less so. So when we look at the spiral dynamics model, we start with beige, which is our base survival. Then we move to purple, which is that mythic, magical consciousness of just starting to move out of the oneness. Then we go to red, which is about tribal belonging and staying safe against everybody. Also helps in terms of assertiveness and making things happen. Then we go to blue, and blue is about law and foundation and obedience and authority. And then orange. Orange brings us the enlightenment. The orange brings us science. Orange brings us success, prosperity, kind of the machine. And then we have green. Green is the end of slavery. Green is multiculturalism. Green is the authority of internal experience. And then yellow is when we start moving out of the tier of fear into non-dual awareness. Now, Unity churches generally are blue, orange, green, and yellow. These are the centers of gravity that we're emanating. And these are the centers of gravity that are a little out of tune. Because the goal is not to be like everyone needs to be like me. Because that's a pretty boring song. The goal is, how do I become the healthiest version of myself as possible? Because when we shame and blame and finger point, you need to be different, that does nothing. But when I work on being the best expression of my center of gravity, then even in its imperfection, I can bring and reverberate the harmonic of the whole spectrum. So there's no ego challenge to prove I'm at yellow. Rather, there's the excellence challenge. You are the embodiment of excellence. To be the most excellent version of ourselves possible. And in communities like ours, orange and green tend to almost have an allergy to each other. Okay? And here I notice, sounds a little like Jaws. And as we grow, there's more possibilities because we have more keys on the keyboard. We can play more complex and amazing music, but we can't play it without each other. And in society where we need to all be the healthiest versions of ourselves, we also have this internally. Like, I'm going to be much more traditional in how I want my kids to date than how I want us to work in a global community. So we have to make peace within our own selves as well. Is this making sense? Okay. So it's music. It's about being the harmonic, not being better than worse, and not trying to strive to give ourselves the highest color of the rainbow. So I invite you to keep that in mind as I, as a novice, just try to play some music so we can attune to the intelligence each value system serves. Because even if you're here in purple, if you, as a spiritual being, are a master at purple, you are going to be a ceremonialist of the highest order. You are going to be a keeper of tradition. You're going to be attuned to the seasons. You are going to know what ritual and ceremony best serves each moment. And even though you're down here, if you are excellent in your purple, you're going to be invited to the Dalai Lama's table, not your B+ yellow person up here. Right? Okay. So let's take that in. Feel free to close your eyes. At some point I'll silence, then we'll go into the silence, and then we'll come out. This is experimental church. We're going to fail fast. This truly might be one night only. So, okay. And let's center inside in meditation. I invite you now to come out of meditation and back into the present moment with the felt awareness that everything is serving the highest good, the joy of harmony, and even the tension of dissonance, which helps motivate us to move ever into the harmonic resonance of love. And now more music from the excellence of Ray Davis.
Oh, come on now. Oh. Almost forgot. Good morning. This song, and the next actually, based on the teachings of Yeshua. Some of y'all might know him as Jesus, but his mama probably called him Yeshua, or Yeshua in Aramaic. And this song is a wonderful, powerful suggestion for how to make it through times like these. Instead of looking to the outside for solutions, and there are solutions that can come from the outside, I'm much more inclined now to search within. You know, instead of trying to pull the little speck out of my neighbor's eye, I attend to that little log that's sitting in mine. You dig? This is called the least of these. I've got something on my mind. It is high time for my confession. To the world I may seem kind and a success in my profession. But when I search deep in my soul, I find a hole about the size of your oppression. And I wonder, could it be the solution is calling for me? Whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least of these, well, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me. Yeah. Maybe I can see the signs. Maybe I don't want to name it. Maybe I believe some lies, but it breaks my heart to claim it. Oh no. And maybe I've been socialized to minimize the pain you feel, then just reframe it. So I wonder now, can I be a solution somehow? whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least of these. Well, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me. Yeah. I just can't take it no more. Blaming somebody else for my life, for my life. Now I am ready to start. I'll change my mind, change my heart. I will open, really open to love, 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 to love, 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 sweet love. Whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, oh, whatever I've done to the least of these. Well, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me.
Ray, when's your next concert? Do you? Do you do concerts?
I do from time to time.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah.
A band called The Regenerates.
The Regenerates.
Ray Davis and The Regenerates.
Look them up. I certainly will. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So there's a story about a man who had excellent seats at the 50-yard line for the Super Bowl. He's there, and the game's about to start, and the seat next to him is empty. And he goes to the neighbor. He says, do you know why this seat is empty? And he says, yeah, it belongs to me. I was supposed to come with my wife, but she passed away. And the guy says, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. But couldn't you have found anyone to come with you, like a friend or a family member or even a neighbor? And he said, no one was available. They're all at the funeral. Jean-Claude is my kind of man. So that's my entree into our spiritual ministry team theme for this month, which is true belonging. And we spent the last 6 months taking a deeper dive into each of our Unity of Tustin values. And then the spiritual ministry team decided this would be kind of true belonging, kind of how we all belong. And then next month, we're moving into new beginnings. Because for many of us, September, whether we have kids or grandkids or in school ourselves, there's just something about the gestalt where it's like back to business. done with vacation. So we'll be doing new beginnings, and at the end, on September 26th, we're actually going to have a service to welcome newcomers. So be thinking of who you can invite, and I'll do the talk, and I'll kind of focus on some of what makes us different and unique, and who we are as a Unity Church. So that's kind of what we were doing in the spiritual ministry team. Then we're going to do Adventures in Faith, and then Advent, and then we'll start with the new year. So that's a little bit of the landscape of the future. But this true belonging, it's not a term I'd ever heard of. So I was thinking about it, in terms of how everything belongs. I teach leadership development, so I was thinking of the forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning kind of stages of development where we kind of come together and there's a lot of harmony because everyone's on their good behavior. And then we start to get tired of being fake, kind of like dating, That's why date for a long time, because that breaks down eventually. And we kind of show up as our true selves, and we've got to navigate that space of handling conflict. And if there's maturity, and if we find out we can be our true selves and have a rift and make it to a repair, well, now we've got security. Now we've got security, and we can start creating norms, and we can start really performing as our best self. So that's kind of where I was taking all of this when I was thinking about this talk. And then Mary Jean sends me an email saying that there's a 2017 book by Brene Brown called Braving the Wilderness, The Quest for True Belonging and the Courage to Stand on Your Own. And I thought, I didn't know this. True belonging's a thing, And it was so funny because in ministerial school at Unity, my instructor was just talking about internal conversation, about, where should we focus as a Unity movement. There are some people that really want us to teach the basics and the Fillmores and lessons in truth. And then there are other people who are like, yes, but what's workable? Because when I offer Emily Katie's Lessons in Truth, I get 4 people. And when I offer Brene Brown, I get 20. So her name had just come up. And I thought, well, then we will focus today on the gospel according to Brene Brown. So that's how I figured that one out. And she's really done some research into this concept, ethic, way of being called true belonging. And when she was doing her research about belonging, she came to some understandings that surprised her. So what she found that was surprising is that as a society, we have increasingly sorted ourselves into ideological bunkers, this sorting process, S-O-R-T-I-N-G. And that, in general, we live with, we socialize with, we get our news sources from, and to a large part, we often worship with people who have a very similar ideological worldview than when we do. And the thought would be that as we surround ourselves with people very much like us, we would become more connected because we're with people who are like us, who kind of see the world like us. But what she found the research showed is that the more we surround ourselves with people who live and think like us, the more lonely we turn out to be. So being in ideological bunkers is actually correlated with loneliness. So that was curious. So what she found as she researched this further is that one of the things that keep us in our sorted bunkers isn't so much an affinity to each other. It's solidarity against who we can't stand. She's very blunt, so she's like, we hate the same people. And that our connection tends to be fused more against who we are against than a cultivated curiosity and intimacy with each other. And this leads to loneliness, because when it comes to true belonging, just because we have contempt for the same people doesn't mean that you're going to show up for me when I've just had a chemo treatment, or I have a flat tire and I need my kids to be picked up, or heaven forbid, I have to move. And loneliness is a serious issue, because when we're connected, but not meaningfully deep connection, we're lonely. And this loneliness is correlated with early death more than obesity and smoking. It's a greater predictor of physical and mental health issues. And what I found fascinating is that in Britain, Parliament has designated a minister of loneliness, seeing loneliness as a public health crisis. So not only does this sorting that seems to be the emerging norm in our culture not lead to true belonging, it also has us forget our inextricable connection to each other. Our inextricable connection to each other as children of God, sharing the image and likeness of the divine, that here in Unity and in many spiritual communities we hold as fundamental. We all have that divine spark within. And we're actually neurobiologically hardwired to not hurt each other. It goes against our human nature to treat each other poorly, to harm each other, to see each other suffer, to have each other be in distress. Because as a species, we are hardwired to protect each other in order to survive as a species, in order to survive as a common humanity. So to create our sordid silos in the first place, we have to engage in a subtle process of dehumanization through the words and images that we use to relate to others, which we call a process of moral exclusion, where we can see everyone having basic human rights, except those people not so much. That moral exclusion. And we're slowly allowing ourselves to start using dehumanizing language to describe people with whom we disagree. And this makes it okay to hate them, to demean them, to dismiss them, and to even hurt them. And underneath all that, the process of othering the other is also hurting ourselves, because it chips away at our own soul. It chips away at our neurobiological programming to see ourselves as part of the fabric of humanity. It chips away at our own soul as we deny the divine spark in each and every one of us. And any type of dehumanization, because I do this, and I'm sure if you look, you can see how you do it. You know, how you talk about others around like-minded people, rather than how you might talk about others when there's more of a variety of opinions. That very dangerous habit of pointing out the hypocrisy of others, which is a dopamine dose of righteousness, that we feel better and superior without having to do any bowl improvement ourselves. Okay. We're off the hook. You need to be more like me, and then I'm done. Then I'm done. No transformation. So dehumanization, shaming others, being outraged, finger pointing the hypocrisy of others, just kind of having that contempt, it's not a social justice tool. It's not effective behavioral modification. And it adds to our collective separation and polarization, which adds to what the Fillmores would call the race consciousness. What we do impacts the race consciousness, what Jung would call the collective consciousness, what Teilhard would call the noosphere. This collective repository of human thought history from which we draw and which informs our current consciousness and behavior. So our spiritual work is to retain the dignity and humanity of the people we disagree with. Our spiritual work is to retain the dignity and the humanity of the people we disagree with. So for everyone, this is my homework assignment and challenge to you. First of all, no Facebook posts pointing out the hypocrisy of others. Okay? No, just stop it. Just stop it. And see if for 1 week, you can mindfully refrain from any type of reflexive criticism that is not going to change anything. And then see what happens with that vacuum of energy and what kind of comes up from the spirit within to fill it. Let's make room. Let's make room for that to emerge. And from that viewpoint, we are truly blessed that in this community we do have a diversity of worldviews. You know, Jane Simmons talks about how green and yellow, which are the dominant memes in our movement, have this allergy to each other. And she says, you know, like oranges will say, oh, you liberal snowflake. And greens will say, you corporate machines that don't care about anybody else. But the truth is, we profoundly need each other. Because without orange, green tends to die on the vine. It doesn't quite have built into it the infrastructure to be successful and then to make a difference and to touch people. Orange without green tends to lack heart. And both of these value means are still in the tier of fear. In order to start to move to yellow, which is more in the non-dual, less fear-based, mastery of ego phase of human development, we need to learn how to not fear each other. So it is in our embracing of our differences that we actually evolve into this new consciousness that's starting to emerge on the planet. And then we get to start doing that in community, not just individual, but in community, and that's turquoise. And what I found very interesting is we don't have a turquoise bowl yet. Yeah, we might get lots of donations, you know, people trying to figure out what's that tone. That's emerging. That's to come. That's to come. So I was deeply impressed that the last 2 salons we had after our talks on diversity, we did that. We retained the dignity and humanity of those we disagreed with. And even though there was a wide variety, a whole 360 circle of worldviews presented, there was no war. And that was very meaningful to me because I don't have many reference points like that. Now, I'm not saying it was a comfortable internal walk in the park for everyone in those groups, but we had the maturity to hang on to ourselves, which increases our capacity to tolerate difference, so we could extend that dignity to each other. And that was very meaningful to me. And then the other takeaway that I had, of course, they're confidential, so we don't talk about content, but the dynamics and how it impacts us, we can discuss. And there was one person who shared, who had a very different worldview than me. And I could feel and see that this person was speaking and outpicturing a very different worldview from a sincere and earnest anchoring of goodness. Really profound. And it helped me see where my limits of the generosity of spirit, and that I have so much to learn. That expansive humility. Always lean into expansive humility, because this is the medicine that really brings us to a whole different level of spiritual health. So the other thing is, when one of these bowls is out of tune, the best thing we can do is encourage a healthy harmonic. Because that is the beauty of music. You hit a chord and it actually vibrates the other chords it didn't even touch. So some of these that are out of tune, I actually found if we sound them with other bowls, they sound a bit better. They kind of help each other become beautiful. And then you don't notice so clearly. You don't notice that so clearly. Okay? And in that moment, they might actually be vibrating a little more healthy, because this one's vibrating more healthy. And this is the harder work. This is our spiritual work. Tuning our own singing bowl, rather than pointing out the out-of-tuneness of the other. Working on the old log in our eye, or even if it's a splinter. Working on that rather than pointing out the splinter in someone else's eye. These are our foundational spiritual teachings. Okay, so in the absence of love and true belonging, there is always suffering. So then the question is, how do we truly belong? And according to the Gospel of Brene, the men and women who have the deepest sense of true belonging are people who also have the courage to stand alone when called to do that. They are willing to maintain their integrity and risk disconnection in order to express and stand up for what they believe in. And it turns out that the men and women who have the deepest sense of true belonging are the ones that have the capacity to stand alone. That's in the title, Braving the Wilderness, the quest for true belonging and the courage to stand alone. And at first, those values might seem incongruent. They might seem in conflict with each other, like they're competing. But what Brene says in chapter 5, verse 2, that one of the, I'm glad some of you got that, that one of the biggest barriers to true belonging is trying to belong. One of the biggest barriers of true belonging is trying to fit in. Because when we fit in, we're assessing the situation, we're acclimating. How do I get to be who you want me to be rather than to be who I am? My I amness. And true belonging, it's not something we negotiate with outside groups. It's something that we negotiate with our relationship to spirit and our truest self. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Otherwise, we are negotiating our divine essence with what the Fillmores called sense consciousness. That external, ephemeral, not connected to the divinity reality. That is when we belong nowhere because we've cut ourselves off from the true vine. So seek first the kingdom within. That's the true belonging. That's braving the wilderness. And Brene tells us, don't believe for 1 second you're not going to have to stand on your own. But be warned, because when you pull away and find the power of standing on your own, your heart will be marked by the wild. And you will belong to the wilderness in a whole different way. You will belong to that land without data points, in your unique expression of divinity, in a whole different way. And you, in that place, will be able to live out your contribution to the world as a child of God. Because when we look at it, most of the things that we have done, most of the ways we have expressed, most of the transmissions that last, that is part of our legacy of a loving, divine spirit on this planet, are done when we stand alone in the wilderness. That's when we get to take the tension of wanting that dominant chord, of wanting that new arrival, of wanting that harmony, and finding it. Stepping out in faith and finding it. And in that way, we serve the deepest levels of creation. That is how we can best serve creation as a whole. And this is a particular gift of spiritual community. You know, we can have each other's back. We can support each other well enough that we are willing to stand on our own. And then when we are washed over by the mark of the wild and our divine anointment with God, we can then come back and share it and emanate it with each other as well. That's true belonging. That's true belonging. So I want to end with a little bit of the work of Jim Lockard. And when I start my group in August 19th, this is going to be recommended reading. Not required reading. You actually don't have to read. There'll be information coming out next week, but there's some videos I'll ask you to watch. There's this book you might want to read, but you don't have to. But it's wonderful. It's called The Beloved Community, a Handbook for Spiritual Leaders. And I've been following Jim Lockard for about 5 years, and just to show my ego pettiness. In my evolutionary spirituality class, we're actually reading his book. And I'm like, I knew him probably before you did. You know, I want my instructor to know. You know, it's like, how can I say something to let her know that I've been in on Jim Lockard's and when he started his blog? And I'm like, sweet Shara, yes, you did. You knew him first. You're a good girl, you know. Oh, honest truth. So in his book, he says, the beloved community is not one that withdraws from the larger community, nor is it one that sees itself as separate from everyone else. Rather, it engages with the world around it, but certainly not in spending energy making others wrong or in demeaning or diminishing others who are outside the community. It is a place where differences may be noted, but in which the realization that all humans can live compassionate lives is very real. The beloved community reflects a consciousness of pioneering, of evolution and emergence, where there is a recognition that the community will also find itself in uncharted waters, spiritually and socially. The sense of being a pioneering spirit, which is one who sets out to discover something new, leaving the comforts of the known behind. This is an element present in such a beloved community. A pioneering soul is one who explores her own spiritual nature with courage and a willingness to embrace the unknown. How else are we to leave the limited versions of ourselves behind, to make ourselves available, to open to the emergence of a greater version of our divine potential? How else are we to leave the limited versions of ourselves behind to make available and make ourselves available to open to the emergence of a greater version of our divine potential? So there's more I could say, but I know we have a party to get to. So I'm going to end with this wonderful ending from Brené Brown. There will be times when standing alone feels too hard, too scary, and will doubt our ability to make our way through the uncertainty. Someone somewhere will say, don't do it. And you don't have what it takes to survive the wilderness. This is when you reach deep into your wild heart and you remind yourself, I am the wilderness.
Thank you, Shara. We've come to the time of receiving our tithes and our love offerings, but first, we'd like to welcome anyone who might be here for the very first time. At Uni, we believe in one heart, one God, but many paths. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Is there anyone here for the very first time who would be willing to raise your hand? Welcome. Welcome. Our ushers have a welcome packet that they're on their way to bring to you. Inside that welcome packet, you'll find a name tag, and we invite you to fill out that name tag so that we can identify you and connect with you after the service. And again, we do invite you to stay for our barbecue. And for anyone who's watching online as well, if you are new, if you'd send an email to unity@unitytustin.org, we'd love to send you some welcome information as well. You are considered our guest today, so we don't expect that you'll participate in today's offering. But for the rest of us, as we come to that time of receiving our tithes and our love offerings, we're reminded that at Unity, we know that God is our source, and we participate in that divine flow of giving and receiving. And one of the ways that we do that is we at Unity of Tustin send a divine love offering to Unity Worldwide Ministries every month. So we invite you to participate in that flow of giving and receiving. And as you hold your love offering in your hand, or if you participate in recurring giving online or any other way, then you can just place your hand on your heart. And together we will say our love offering blessing together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And as our ushers do receive those love offerings, Ray Davis has another musical gift for us.
Oh, no, you don't. There you go. So you're familiar with the passage in Scripture that most folks refer to as the Beatitudes, yeah? Yeah, supreme blessings. So this is a song based on the Beatitudes. It is called Blessed. If you are one bringing light to the darkness, then the rising sun will call you blessed. If you are one who in darkness will nurture the light, then the setting moon will know your name. Your name is blessed, for you are tested, for you are rebuked and you are scorned. Though they revile you, they can't defile you, for all receive the just reward, just reward. If you are one being light in the darkness, then the blazing sun will call you blessed. If you are one who in darkness reveals the light, then the glowing moon will speak your name. If some accuse you, if they abuse you, it's just that they don't know what they are. They have rejected what you have accepted. They fear the light and you shine like a star. Blessed is your name, even as they set the evil eye upon you. So rejoice again, I say rejoice, as you make your choice and raise your voice. Food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, water for the thirsty, support for the oppressed. See, you are the blessing when they pray to be blessed. There's no need to fight when you are the light. Just shine, shine, shine. You are the one, you're the promise of light in the darkness. And the setting sun, he calls you blessed. Oh, lovely one, from the darkness shine, shine your light. For the rising moon, she sings your name. Your name is blessed, blessed. La 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 la. Your name is blessed, oh blessed, yes. La 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 la.
What a blessing it is to have you here, Ray. Thank you so much. So we take a moment to say a blessing on these love offerings. Divine oneness, we are so grateful for all that we have received and for the awareness that you know that you will provide us to help best use these gifts for our community, both here and beyond. And so it is. Amen. So as we begin to close our service, we do have a reminder or just a little announcement that Shara will not be holding her salon today after the service. We're going to all join together outside for the barbecue. Prayer chaplains will be available in the gazebo area. So if you have a prayer that you would like to have held in sacred space, they can meet you there. And also if you have any questions about their upcoming remembrance ceremony that we mentioned last week, they'll be able to answer those questions for you again. So you'll find them in the gazebo. And I think that's it. So as we close our service today, let's join together in Unity's prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go forth into your week this week, knowing and holding on to that awareness of our divine connection and as we all together truly belong. And so it is.